Welcome to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show, where you get advice you can trust. From home selling tips to investing, this is the talk show that will help you make the most money when selling your most valuable asset and save the most money when buying. Now here are your hosts, Dave McKay, along with Wally Kerr, broker and founder of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty in Oklahoma City.
This is the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show, sponsored by Chris Doak with Gateway Mortgage and also by Best Protect Roofing and Construction. And we welcome in the stars of the show each and every week. It is Wally and Cindy Kerr.
Dave, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to both of you. How was your New Year's?
We had great holidays. We entertained my mom, she was with us about a week.
Yeah.
Good.
She turned 91 years old. We had great holidays, spent it with the kids and the grandkids. What about you, Dave?
Made it to midnight. It was a struggle, but made it to midnight and yell at the wife. I was like, hey, Happy New Year. She was in the other room.
Good
Happy
night.
New Year.
She said, you woke me up, Dave.
Yeah, just about. It was good. All right, so we're going to start off 2024 with a bang. And what are our topics for today?
Well, we're going to do a fun opening segment, and you and Cindy don't even know what it is yet. So stay tuned, because I'm going to have some fun with Cindy and Dave here during the early part of our show, and I think you'll learn a few things when you do. So Stick around. That'll be right after our first break here, which will happen just in a moment. We're going to talk today, Dave, about 7 things you must fix before selling your home. Okay. So we know that there are a lot of people now. We got past the holidays, right? This was a big event, Christmas, New Year's. Now it's time to start thinking about, if I'm going to sell this year, when will that be? What will the timing look like? And what do I need to do to get ready? So we're going to help our listeners with that today. I've got some wisdom to share today about not selling your home short in the winter time. So that will tie into our first House Talk segment today. Okay. We'll continue House Talk today with predictions from Wall Street's giants for 2024 and what they believe is going to happen with the housing market and what will happen with interest rates. That'll be informative, and it's interesting to see how some of those opinions vary.
All of this information all packed into just under 60 minutes. And by the way, if you can't catch the show live, all episodes of our shows are available for download at all the major podcast apps. And of course at WallyTalksHouses.com, where you'll find, and I love this, a summary for each show that you can scroll through and select from. And don't forget that our show repeats Sundays at noon right here on KOKC, just in case you can't stay with us, which you don't have any excuse. If you're tuned in right now, you stay with us.
At least stay with us for our next segment. We'll do a little Stump Cindy and Dave, and that's coming up next, right, Dave?
Yes, we call that a cliffhanger. We'll be right back after this.
Looking for a cash offer for your home? If so, do you want to see just one offer, or would you prefer to receive multiple cash offers, and you get to choose the one you want? IWantMultipleOffers.com is the place to go, and that's exactly what you'll get fast. You choose the closing date, no open houses, no strangers in your home, and no waiting to receive an offer. You can sell as is. Today we know that homeowners like you want options. Our cash offer program, where you receive multiple offers, not just one, allows you to do what you want to do. If the cash offers aren't quite as high as you want, you still have the option of placing your home for sale for only as long as you want. 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, you choose. And if it's not sold in that agreed period, you can take any one of the cash offers, including one from us. Visit IWantMultipleOffers.com. Get the options you want, or just give us a call today. Wally and Cindy Kerr at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty at 330-3000.
Best Protect Roofing and Construction has been serving the Oklahoma community since 2017 with trusted professionals and a proven track record. Best Protect Roofing and Construction has the local knowledge to ensure every roofing project is compliant and hassle-free. They offer free roof inspections to assess damage, provide accurate quotes, and recommend the best solution for your home. Call today, 405-473-9599. Best Protect Roofing and Construction.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful, from knowing which program fits your situation the best to identifying the best terms. Hi, I'm Chris Doak with Gateway Mortgage. I work closely with you every step of the way, from pre-qualification to helping you choose the home loan that's right for you. My promise is to provide transparency, timely communication, personal service, and closings on time. Call me today at 405-253-2276. That's 405-253-2276.
NMLS 984758. Gateway Mortgage, a division of Gateway First Bank. NMLS 7233, Equal Housing Lender.
If you or a family member will be selling or buying a home and would like to schedule an appointment with Wally, call 405-330-3000 or go to wallysguarantee.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with Wally Kerr.
Happy New Year to all of our listeners. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a new year and a new clean slate for all of us. Now, Wally, you said that you're throwing in a surprise right off the bat today. What do you have for us?
So I was doing some reading and read some interesting things, not only about some housing here in Oklahoma, but some really interesting facts about our state. I found an article, read lots of bullet points, and picked out 7 or 8 of these, and I thought, a couple of these I'll tell you about. But Dave, I'm going to stick you and Cindy on the hot seat for.
Oh boy!
Remember our real estate true or false that we did last year?
Yes.
So our listeners told us they liked that, and of course you liked it.
Yeah.
But you flunked so many times that what I had to do
Dave.
was now you get some help from Cindy here, Dave. Okay?
Oh, that's
so,
not much help.
Okay,
So wait, you're asking the native Californians.
don't give
this will be-
yourself any handicap in this game. This is all about you've been here long enough, and Cindy's been here for
Yes.
30 years after marrying me. All right, so Dave, Cindy, when was the first home in the Oklahoma Territory built?
1847.
Cindy?
There was a survey crew that went through Norman, and the man's name was Norman, and it was in kind of that era, maybe 1860, something like that.
So according to Oklahoma history, it was Sequoia's Cabin, and it was built in 1829 in Aikens, Oklahoma, which is just really to the west of Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Okay.
1829, and that is believed, and Sequoia lived there until about 1844.
Wow.
So that was the Indian Territory at that
Yes,
time, right? It
yes.
wasn't the state of Oklahoma.
Right.
So how about this one? When was the Overholser Mansion built here in Oklahoma
Now,
City?
we should know that. We went through that.
In a few years, so how's your memory doing these days, Cindy? When was the Overholser Mansion
Yeah, I'm
built?
going to lean on Cindy on this one.
We went through that. I'm going to say 1910.
How about 1903, before
Oh, not bad.
statehood? So Henry Overholser arrived into Oklahoma City just a few days after the land run of 1889. And he took over some land in the unassigned areas because there was unassigned land that was not claimed in the land run.
Right.
He ended up building in what is today the Overholser Mansion that's about 11,000 square feet with a 4,000-foot carriage house. And Cindy, as you know, and probably you too, Dave, you can go take tours
We
of
did.
the Overholser
And I
Mansion.
made Wally go through that. I think it was a birthday present to me because he always asks me what I want for my birthday, and it's usually tour a museum.
Okay.
And Wally just
I have
kicking
to
and
cringe. I'm not
screaming.
really a history buff, but I do like some of these questions. When was the first Republican governor elected in Oklahoma?
1907.
I'm going to say 1915.
Would you believe that the first Republican governor in Oklahoma was Henry Bellman in 1963?
Really?
Wow.
How about that one for your?
was way
There's
off.
one you can take to your next party and do
Yeah.
a trivia question. What was the first flag to fly over what is now the state of Oklahoma?
Indian flag.
Well, it was a Spanish flag. So
Spanish
the
flag,
first
okay.
flag to fly was the Royal Standard of Spain, brought here in 1541
Oh,
by
my gosh.
Francisco Coronado.
Oh,
and
I
you've
was,
certainly
I was
heard
gonna
his
say
name.
1542, but you know.
Oh, yeah.
What were the Twin Territories?
Was it anything to do with the topographical areas of the state?
Between the land run of 1889, 1890, until statehood in 1907, Oklahoma existed as 2 territories. In the western part of Oklahoma, it was the Oklahoma Territory.
Okay.
And to the eastern part of the state, half of the state, it was Indian Territory.
Okay.
So we existed in an area here in Oklahoma called the Twin Territories.
I have never
between
heard that.
eastern and
Interesting.
western Oklahoma.
Okay.
All right, how many different tribes, Dave, would you say inhabited the Indian Territory, which is now Oklahoma?
I'm not Dave, but I'm going to say 15.
I'm going to say a little less, but probably a decent number, maybe 13.
You ready for this? 67
Wow.
tribes
Wow.
in the Indian Territory. 67 different tribes in the Indian
And you
Territory.
know what's really interesting is, I guess, because I didn't study Oklahoma history in elementary school, but all those tribes came from other places in the country, the Seminoles in Florida.
That's right.
And they all were brought here, but they all have roots to places back east.
Absolutely. How about this one? What's one of the biggest historical facts about Pensacola, Oklahoma? Would you believe that the Civil War was actually fought in Pensacola, Oklahoma? Of course, it was Indian Territory at that time. It was before statehood. In 1862, and the Confederates won. Right here on the land in Oklahoma, the Civil War was actually fought. How about that? Guess what our official state meal is? I'm not going to have you guess at this.
Oh, chicken fried steak.
Very close. Very close. The official state meal adopted in 1988. Are you ready for this? Actually, you're right, Dave. I looked at fried okra first. It's fried
That's
okra.
what I was thinking.
Squash, cornbread, barbecue pork, biscuits, sausage and gravy, grits, corn, strawberries, chicken fried steak, pecan or pecan pie, however you want to say it, and are you ready? What did you have on January 1st, or what did you not have on January?
Black-eyed peas.
Black-eyed peas.
Yes.
That is the official state meal. There's some amazing facts about Oklahoma, isn't there?
Yes.
And I think it's neat as we move into the future. Got this 1,750-foot tower, which could be apartment buildings and a mixed use, that they're talking about building now in Oklahoma City.
And all because the arena was voted in. Wasn't that interesting?
It's pretty exciting. The project site currently is where surface parking is at the southwest corner of Bricktown. And the plan initially showed a Hyatt Dream Hotel and 3 residential towers that were all going to be about 350 feet tall. But once the investors with Madison Capital in Newport Beach, California, of course, figured if the city could put $1 billion into the arena to keep the Thunder here, that they felt like they could invest $1 billion into a project. So
Those are massive numbers for Oklahoma.
do you know that this structure, if it's built here, would be the second tallest structure in the U.S., only after One World Trade Center in New York City that stands, of course, 1,776 feet. In comparison, Dave, the Devon Tower is 844 feet. And this proposed tower would be 1,750 feet if they can get that approved. The financing's in place for this to start in about 2 years. The only thing that Madison says is he says the market would need to absorb the apartments that are already in the other towers first. We went down to the First National Bank Tower for the holidays. The decorations were just gorgeous, unbelievable. So there are apartments there. He just noted that Oklahoma City is one of the fastest growing cities in the U.S. with people moving here based on quality of life, affordability, and jobs.
And you know what I'm excited about? If the Devon Tower is just half of that, and we've eaten at that restaurant on the top floor, can you imagine?
Oh, man.
I'm sure they'll put a restaurant on the top floor of this, and can you imagine the view?
Well, I mean, I'm thinking about my credit card limit also on going to this
Yes.
restaurant that would be up there.
My, that's going to be a once in a lifetime.
some really exciting stuff, right, Dave?
And can you imagine the Thunder players living next door in a tower like that?
Wow.
I can see
would be
that.
kinda
How
cool,
about
right?
our success of the Thunder?
Yes,
This past week,
yes.
winning against Boston, the leading team in the East, and then we beat the Nuggets, and we beat the Denver Nuggets, and we beat the Timberwolves. All within the last 2 or 3 weeks. What a great, exciting time to be in Oklahoma City and live here where it's affordable, in great communities around the metro. I think there's a lot to be excited about here in Oklahoma, don't you?
You know, and it all started with one little house just west of Arkansas. And from there, we've blossomed into
Absolutely.
the gigantic metropolis,
That's
which
right.
is New York of the Midwest.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, stick around. We'll be back with House Talk with Wally and Cindy, and we're going to talk about 7 things you must fix before selling your home next.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful, from knowing which program fits your situation the best to identifying the best terms. Hi, I'm Chris Stoke with Gateway Mortgage. I work closely with you every step of the way, from pre-qualification to helping you choose the home loan that's right for you. My promise is to provide transparency, timely communication, personal service, and closings on time. Call me today at 405-253-2276. That's 405-253-2276.
NMLS 984758. Gateway Mortgage, a division of Gateway First Bank. NMLS 7233. Equal housing lender.
Best Protect Roofing and Construction has been serving the Oklahoma community since 2017 with trusted professionals and a proven track record. Best Protect Roofing and Construction has the local knowledge to ensure every roofing project is compliant and hassle-free. They offer free roof inspections to assess damage, provide accurate quotes, and recommend the best solution for your home. Call today, 405-473-9599. Best Protect Roofing and Construction.
Hey, home buyers, let's talk turkey for a minute. Would you choose a healthy economy or lower interest rates? As of January 5th, the U.S. jobs report says we're in a healthy economy with a larger increase in jobs in the U.S. That leads us to believe the Fed will wait even longer until it begins to reduce its rate. Meantime, the demand for homes always picks up in the spring, with many buyers chasing the same home, and that means more competition for you. With home prices on the rise, doesn't it make sense to get in the market now? A $300,000 home that increases just 2% over the next year will increase $6,000 in value. I'm Wally Kerr, and my team and I offer rock-solid advice about buying a home in a market like this one, where home prices are going up and fewer homes are for sale. Call Kerr Team today at 330-3000 and tell us you're ready to get started with the process. I promise you'll have a great experience working with my team. Call us today at 330-3000.
If you or a family member will be selling or buying a home and would like to schedule an appointment with Wally, call 405-330-3000 or go to wallysguarantee.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with Wally Kerr.
Well, Wally and Cindy, let's hop right into our first House Talk segment today. Now that the holidays are over, I expect that a number of homes will begin to increase that are coming on the market, especially as we roll towards spring. Now, Cindy, you made a list of some things that home sellers should pay particular attention to. Can you share that with us right now?
Sure, I'd be glad to. You know, number one on my list, Dave, is water damage and potentially mold. So when you see water damage in your property, that really causes concern for a buyer. They're wondering, why didn't a seller fix that? And is there mold in the walls or some other mold problem? So it really can worry a buyer.
Yeah, I agree, Dave. A lot of times the mold or the water inside a home will stem from one of several different things. Maybe it's poor drainage around the property.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a leaking drain line. Sometimes it's associated with maybe the HVAC system being in the attic. There can be leaks under sinks. There could be leaks in shower walls. You could have the drain pan that goes in and fails and it rots the woodwork around your shower door or around your shower walls, and that can lead to mold inside the walls.
And there are professional mold remediation companies. It's not just a matter of painting a wall with some bleach and saying that's great. There are mold remediation companies that'll test the air, that'll test the mold. They want to make sure that when it's corrected, it's not going to be a health hazard for a buyer.
Let me ask you guys this now. Insurance companies, how do they handle mold? Is there certain aspects to certain things they may not even cover? How did the insurance companies handle that?
Cindy, you and I saw a lot of addendums or riders that were attached. Maybe 10 years ago we started getting those, 10, 12 years ago, especially on our rental properties that said, this language is being added to your policy. We're not going to do anything about mold. We're not going to take care of mold. We're not going to contribute any money to mold. And I think part of that is because the industry is so unregulated. I've literally heard of owners going in and getting estimates for $4,000 to $5,000 to fix mold, and then you get another estimate that's $21,000.
Oh my.
So it's very unregulated. I think you have to be really careful to, if you think you've got it, do the test up front, like you said, Cindy.
Yes.
Find out what you have. Is
And
it a dangerous mold or not?
And you've got to disclose
You must disclose, then get it fixed, and then go back and get another air quality test done that proves that you got it taken care of.
What about plumbing?
You know, Dave, that's second on my list today, faulty plumbing. And that could be drainage issues. That could be plumbing in your house. It could be in your yard. It could be sewer line problems. But it's really important to take care of those. Those are real big question marks for a buyer. We really recommend a home pre-inspection. That's going to uncover those things, and it'll even uncover malfunctioning HVAC systems, your heat and air system. You need to know about these things. You know, when Wally and I built our house 5 years ago, we have 2 furnaces and 2 air conditioners, and it was expensive to put those in. And so I always recommend, and we both do, a service contract twice a year for your HVAC system to come out to inspect them before summer, make sure your air conditioner is working properly before winter, that your furnace is working properly, and change filters. We have very high ceilings, so they come out and they change those filters 4 times a year. And I feel like that's great insurance to make sure that you're not going to have to replace that costly system.
You know what I've seen over the years too, Dave, is people that get these, they'll maybe tell me their utilities. I'll go out to visit with them about selling their home. They may mention and say, our utilities are so high that we feel like we need to move. And I'll look up and maybe see the return air filter clogged in the ceiling.
Yes.
I may not be that pointed about saying, hey, have you changed your filter in the last 6 years?
But you see black around it on the ceiling.
Oh.
And then the other big one is Freon can leak out of a system. It's supposed to stay in there forever. But in residential systems, for one reason or the other, sometimes the Freon will begin to leak out. So when you don't have enough Freon, it's not cooling as well. You walk outside and you see your air conditioner unit running. You think, well, it should be cooling just fine. What you may not be aware of is it's running longer and longer and longer to cool your house down because it either needs service or needs Freon. The system runs longer, it wears it out quicker, your utility bills are higher. This is one of the reasons you really want to get under a maintenance agreement.
That's right.
I would think if you're going to be in the house for some time and then you know that eventually you're going to want to sell it, it's like being in that car if you don't get the oil change.
Absolutely.
You want to take care of the engine and everything, so
Yes.
you want to do that with this. You might want to check out the plumbing that, goes underneath the yard where maybe roots can start to get into it.
That's right.
Again, the HVAC. And again, just maybe have an annual, biannual, just little checkups. Cost a little bit of money, just like an oil change costs a little bit of money, but it's all about maintenance of the vehicle, like maintenance of the home. So when you want to resell it, you have all the receipts showing, hey, I've done great upkeep of this home, and now it's ready for you to move in and everything's done well. I'm sure that a lot of people, especially when you talk about changing filters, now I do mine just about every 3 months.
Good.
Because if I don't, I get in trouble with the boss. And because her nose is a little bit more particular than mine, and she can tell. So I bet a lot of people miss out on that in particular.
I think they do. And, when we built our house, we have very high ceilings, and I realized we're not going to be able to get to. But that's okay. We have a maintenance agreement. They come out. I always tell them every time, bring a tall ladder. And they do. They crawl up there and they maintenance everything for us. So that is just cheap insurance for a very, very expensive system. Another thing on my list, Dave, is structural issues and foundation problems. Structural issues would be things like leaning walls, sagging roofs, cracks in the walls, ceilings, fireplaces. This is the ground around your house, and it can shift and does shift, as we know in Oklahoma, with our clay soil that's so highly expansive. If you see a crack in your home, and they always say 1/8 of an inch in width. How do you measure that? Well, you can get a ruler out, but you can also stick 2 pennies in the crack. If it's larger than that, you have a problem. Also, I've seen people put masking tape over a crack, and they watch it over time if it's smaller, and they see if it's shifted, if that crack is shifting. These are all things that you need to be watching out for so that you'll know if you need to call a structural engineer.
I got to think with especially your foundation, being in Oklahoma,
Right.
the weather changes, drastic weather changes, the extreme cold going to extreme heat, and our clay soil could really do a number on foundations.
That's absolutely right. We talk a lot about watering that foundation because that foundation stem wall will pull away from the structure, and then that continues to cause structural problems, cracks in your home. So there's maintenance that has to be done, and a homeowner needs to be aware and watching if doors aren't closing, if they're seeing cracks off their windows, off their doors, cracks outside in their brick or their mortar. Those are all things you want to walk around, the outside and inside.
Let's go outside. Let's jump on top of the roof, and because I think that's probably an easy one you want to check out, right?
Well, I won't be jumping up there, but I'm going to recommend just walking around and looking for missing, worn, or damaged shingles. And I also have a pet peeve with that ivy that you see growing on people's houses. It's beautiful, but it gets in the brick and it gets under the roof. So you need to walk around, look at your roof. And who do you call, Wally, for a free estimate if you're worried?
He's been doing them for several of our listeners because Alan has said so. So Alan Cook with Best Protect Roofing, he's our trusted contractor, and he will do a free roof inspection. You can check and see if your vent pipes are good. Remember, there's some little rubber boots on those vent jacks, those roof jacks that go out for like your bathrooms and toilets and sinks because those vent outside. And those little vent pipes have rubber boots. And Cindy and I know after 6 or 8 or 10 years, your shingles may be good. But those little boots, the minute they start cracking and that rubber breaks through, you get an inch of rain, you look up one morning, like happened to Cindy and I.
That happened to us in our last house.
10, 15 years ago?
We had leaks on our ceiling everywhere, and that's exactly
inside
what
the
it
home.
was.
We got it to a real surprise after a heavy rain, and we just didn't know to have those boot jack service. So whether it's boot jacks, shingles, your ridge vent, ventilation is really, really important so that the heat escapes from your attic and gets outside. Alan Cook is with Best Protect Roofing, 405-473-9599. Generally in the Oklahoma City metro area, he'll travel, do an absolutely free roof inspection, and we really appreciate his services.
You know, Dave, I also want to mention broken light fixtures, electrical switches, exposed wiring, broken outlets, and switch plates. You can't believe the number of times Wally and I walk in a garage and see like a light bulb hanging from a wire or a junction box that's just hanging and not screwed in. So those are things that a buyer's going to see, and they're going to be really worried about that. So it's something you want to take care of up front.
And I think the big one for them is just being concerned that electricians are quite expensive.
Yes.
And they just don't know how much that's going to cost.
Yes.
So if you can get those things fixed for $200 or $300, we've got a good electrician that we trust. If you need a good electrician's name for most of the metro, shoot us a text at 330-3000 and we'll share some names.
Yeah. You know, also we talk about a lot of these, and one of them is broken appliances. You know, whether it's a broken handle on your microwave, whether you've got those buttons missing on your cooktop or oven, or whether the glass cooktop is broken, whether you have missing racks or broken racks in your dishwasher. You wonder, should I replace that appliance? Should I just give an allowance? Those are all considerations. You might give an allowance, you might replace them, or you might just price your property accordingly. So those are all things that you want to think about.
Those are great suggestions. And I would think for any homeowner that is going to think about the future of their home and the possibility of selling, you kind of want to stay ahead of the game. Just regular maintenance will help you out from really paying a lot more down the road. We're going to continue with some great ideas and some wisdom from Wally. We're going to hear Wally's weekly wisdom coming up in 2 minutes. Stick around. Best Protect Roofing and Construction has been serving the Oklahoma community since 2017 with trusted professionals and a proven track record. Best Protect Roofing and Construction has the local knowledge to ensure every roofing project is compliant and hassle-free. They offer free roof inspections to assess damage, provide accurate quotes, and recommend the best solution for your home. Call today, 405-473-9599. Best Protect Roofing and Construction.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful, from knowing which program fits your situation the best to identifying the best terms. Hi, I'm Chris Doak with Gateway Mortgage. I work closely with you every step of the way, from pre-qualification to helping you choose the home loan that's right for you. My promise is to provide transparency, timely communication, personal service, and closings on time. Call me today at 405-253-2276. That's 405-253-2276.
NMLS 984758. Gateway Mortgage, a division of Gateway First Bank. NMLS 7233, Equal Housing Lender.
Looking for a cash offer for your home? If so, do you want to see just one offer, or would you prefer to receive multiple cash offers and you get to choose the one you want? IWantMultipleOffers.com is the place to go. And that's exactly what you'll get fast. You choose the closing date, no open houses, no strangers in your home, and no waiting to receive an offer. You can sell as is. Today we know that homeowners like you want options. Our cash offer program, where you receive multiple offers, not just one, allows you to do what you want to do. If the cash offers aren't quite as high as you want, you still have the option of placing your home for sale for only as long as you want. 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, you choose. And if it's not sold in that agreed period, you can take any one of the cash offers, including one from us. Visit iwantmultiple-offers.com. Get the options you want, or just give us a call today. Wally and Cindy Kerr at your home sold guaranteed realty at 330-3000.
If you or a family member will be selling or buying a home and would like to schedule an appointment with Wally, call 405-330-3000 or go to wallysguarantee.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with Wally Kerr.
We're back, and it's time for Wally's Weekly Wisdom. Wally, you, and I'll drag Cindy along as well. Both of you have wonderful experience in real estate. You guys have been doing it for a long time, so I know that you have some valuable experience, and it lends yourself to discuss wisdom.
Dave, this thought should help homeowners who are going to be selling this time of year or coming up soon. Things are a little gray. They're kind of brown outside, except for the cedar trees, which are green. So you should be able to show buyers in selling your home what it looks like, not just these 3 or 4 months of the year where it's gray and brown, nothing's alive. You should be able to speak to what your listing looks like when it's not winter. And this takes a little bit of pre-planning, but with today's digital cameras, you probably have some good pictures of, let's say, your family in your above-ground pool. You might have pictures of the flowers out in your yard in the flower beds.
Yes.
Maybe you're a gardener like I am on the weekends, early in the mornings. You may have some pictures of pots or flowers, or maybe pictures with the kids and grandkids standing in front of the porch. What better to show what a great family home you have than to take pictures of the family and share a few of those along with pictures of beautiful landscaping.
And one of the fun pictures we've put on our listings is for houses that have pools, seeing the kids jumping in the pool with floating toys and just having a great time with the family at that pool. And that just kind of gives the feeling for a future buyer of how much fun their family could have in that pool.
Now, we've done some great action pictures, Dave, of kids doing cannonballs and can openers off of diving boards and splashing into the pool. So, winter is only 3 to 4 to 5 months here, and buyers want to know what the home is going to be like the majority of the year. Go online, Dave, and look at the home that we have listed right now at 3605 Joshua Lane. We just put that home on the market about 10 days ago. Dave, just before it froze, I knew I was going to be putting that on the market and told my friends and said, we need to get a photographer and a drone over here right now while it's still green.
Yes.
It was going to freeze about 3 days later. We rushed the photographer over and got beautiful green pictures before anything turned brown. Now when you go and look at their $1 million home online, looks a lot better than these homes that are being listed today.
Yes.
Because we pre-planned for green pictures that would make the marketing look superior to other homes on the market this time of year.
Let's get into another edition of House Talk. We're going to talk about the housing market predictions from the Wall Street Giants. Now, we just got some information, and what do we have in our crystal ball for 2024?
Well, instead of speculating about interest rates this year, let's get some opinions from the giants from Wall Street and get those opinions behind what we talk about, because with investors in such a good mood, the market's doing very well right now. There was a little speed bump at the first of this week, and there was some economic data we're going to talk about at the end of our show very quickly today. But knowing that home prices rose for the 9th straight month in a row in October of 2023, and that the market is doing well, realtor.com is one of these giants, and they believe that 30-year mortgage rates will average, keep in mind where they are right now, about 7, really almost 7 1/8 today as we do our show.
Okay.
They believe that rates will average between 6.6 and 6.8% this year. And meantime, the volume of existing homes for sale is actually expected to fall by about 14%.
Yikes.
So even though rates aren't going to fall back probably in that 6% range, based on some of these opinions you're going to hear today, looks like that inventory is going to shrink again. And why is that? So many owners with even lower interest rates that they're sitting on right now, and they're less motivated to make a move, which makes it look like a very, very tight housing market again in 2024.
Yeah, I would think, correct me if I'm wrong, as a buyer, you really want to get into it early, maybe even pre-spring, because like you guys always talk about that competition, all these buyers are going to start coming in, and that demand for spring and summer is really going to ramp up.
That's right, Dave. Once again, with fewer homes that the sellers are going to be selling because they've got that low rate, it's expected that home buyers will be competing once again with fewer homes for sale.
Which will lead likely to home prices continue to increase again based on fewer homes to sell, right?
It's really economics 101, more demand for fewer homes for sale. That will lead to an increase in housing values for yet another year.
Okay, so then it does make sense to purchase a home and watch it appreciate as demand increases. I would think you just said for the 9th month in a row, the home values are increasing. So you know that that's still going to be increasing once you buy. So you want to get in now as those homes are increasing.
And let's make sure we clarify that 9th month in a row nationwide increases was in October. We don't really have November and December data at this time. It is a compelling argument, though, Dave. It's hard to sit and watch others benefit from the increased values of owning while you sit and rent instead. In fact, Goldman Sachs, another one of these Wall Street giants, believes that while existing home sales may dip just a little bit this year, that home builders are racing to build and complete new homes, and it's because they know many buyers can't find what they want in an existing home at this time. And like Realtor.com, Redfin, another, again, Wall Street giant, believes rates will average 6.6% by the end of 2024, which indicates that, the wait from a lot of home buyers for rates to drop into the fives is probably foregone in 2024 and maybe in the foreseeable future.
Dave, Zillow believes that mortgage rates will hold at current levels, and Zillow believes that homeowners will get used to the higher interest rates and will be more willing to list their homes. And, life happens. People have babies, people get transferred, people divorce, unfortunately, people get married and have a need to buy and sell. So as people get used to these rates, I think we're going to see people willing to sell their home.
Dave, I've seen comments now that buyers and sellers are just tired of waiting. They don't want to wait for rates to come down, and they're ready to make a move.
Now, when you guys got into real estate, you've mentioned before that it was nice when rates came down to 11 to 12%.
Well, or single
15.
digit. I remember when they got to single digit, and we were just hurrah.
Now, for the most part, now they've been down to 3%, obviously, with about 4 years ago and everything, post-COVID and everything. But have you guys seen a lot of rates in the 6 to 6.5 during your career, or what would you say has been about that median?
It's been about the average, hasn't it?
I would say it has.
I mean, when I started in 1987, rates were 10. Mm-hmm. I've seen them as low as 2 5/8, 2.625. Wow. Right in the middle, Dave, is 6.5. What you're talking about seems like in my 36-year career, along with Cindy, the same number of years in the business, these are pretty good rates, and I think a lot of our listeners here on KOKC will agree that these are not bad interest rates at all. It's just a matter of getting used to them.
People are making more money as well. You get used to spending a little bit more money. So I would say that you're more likely to spend more and perhaps hop into ownership a little bit more.
So long as the growth in wages doesn't lead to overspending, which would also lead to higher inflation rates, we're in good shape.
So that's like a big teeter-totter. That's what we're seeing there.
It is, Dave. And if the Fed saw far less spending, they'd be more likely to decrease the Fed's rate to try and stimulate the economy.
I did see a stat earlier in the week that stated that 2023's holiday spending actually rose about 3% in volume, even with credit card debt on the rise. Consumers spent more money on apparel and food, especially in restaurants where spending was up almost 8% over 2022. I wonder how much of that is just because of higher prices inside the restaurants.
Yes.
While sales of electronics and jewelry actually sagged slightly year over year. So not as much in electronics. Maybe we already bought all those electronics and we're waiting for Apple to come out with the next big invention,
That's
right?
So it seems like buyers or just people in general are confident these days to go out and spend more. Is it a confidence level?
I think so. The average American planned to spend $975 during the holiday season, and that is a pretty big number on average. I think I'd be saving some of that money for a down payment, especially in consideration of the fact that prices on homes are going to go up in 2024.
Values will go up. Interest rates will come down just a notch, but not enough to make a big difference in a payment or an interest rate. I'd be jumping in if it were me to get something bought, knowing that these giants, along with Fannie Mae, who also expects mortgage rates to average about 6.7%. So unless we can outsmart Wall Street, it doesn't look like interest rates are going to change that much.
We just discussed what the Wall Street giants think is going to happen to the industry in 2024. Now let's take a couple of minutes, get an update from our local expert and see what might happen right here in our own backyard. Joining us right now is Chris Doak with Gateway Mortgage. Chris, thanks for joining us. And I hope you had a happy new year and you're ready for just to go gangbusters in 2024.
Yes, sir. We're already rolling in 2024. Had a great one and back at it. And thanks as always for having me.
Okay, without giving too much away of what we discussed about before bringing you on, can you share your outlook with us, knowing that there's a lot of pent-up demand out there from home buyers who are waiting for that big drop in interest rates before they purchase a home?
Great question, Dave. And you know, listen, if we knew exactly what was going to happen, we'd probably be doing something else. But I think there's good information out there that can lead us to some good conclusions. But here's what I know that are facts. Facts are rates dropped quite a bit in the last month plus, okay, over a point in a lot of scenarios, from the low 8s to the mid 6s, which is a big drop. And so that's been a great momentum ending the year and going into this new year. Here are the other facts that I know, and that is the last Fed meeting, it really, there was some real sentiment that the Fed will begin cutting rates potentially in March. And that's the Fed rate, and they don't always correlate to the mortgage rates, but they typically do. And so knowing where we are now and knowing that that's the verbiage that's being used, I do think there's some hope and momentum a little bit that we're in a good space, that we've hit the peak and we're heading down. But the other part of it is an election year, and so those can always cause a little bit of hesitation. That's my sentiment as of today.
You know, Chris, I saw some news that came out on Wednesday and just said that the Fed's minutes were released and they're feeling better about inflation, and they're citing what was called the diminished inflation risk. And that's really what we need to see, is inflation not increasing. And we've talked about that here on the shows. I think for the most part, haven't most mortgage companies pretty much already figured this out, that the Fed is probably not going to raise again? That's allowed lenders to be about as aggressive as they can be on interest rates right now, hasn't it, Chris? There's really not a whole lot of latitude for any more movement down until the Fed does something, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a smart way of putting it, Wally, and it is that we have seen a really good movement down, and I think they will probably stay in the current range, like you said, until we see the Fed make a move. And what that means is they're going to fluctuate a little bit up and down, right? But they're going to probably stay pretty close to where they are, right? I think you're probably right on.
We looked at data from Fannie Mae and from Redfin and from Zillow and Realtor.com. Chris, not a one of those Wall Street giants actually mentioned average rates being even as low as 6.5% this year. Does that surprise you?
I think that does surprise me a little bit, because I think we are in the mid 6s, maybe mid to higher 6s a little bit in most scenarios right now. And so for them to say they're not going to go down any from there, that would surprise me a little bit, knowing that the guess is that there's going to be potentially what I've heard of 3 Fed cuts, maybe 75 basis points potentially over the year. So that would surprise me a little bit. But if we knew what the outlook was 100%, we'd probably maybe be in doing something on Wall Street.
So, Chris, do you tell your clients and customers basically a combination of, look, any dreams of grandeur that we're going to get into the 5s, that is gone, and there's going to be a lot of people that are ready to jump into the market to buy homes. So if you're really thinking about buying this home or buying that home or getting ready to purchase a home, you really need to kind of move that needle and do it now rather than later, because you're going to be in competition with a lot of people, and it's not going to save you a whole lot in the long run. Is that correct?
I literally just got off a phone call with a client who is waiting for them to go down, who's in a phenomenal position to buy, great credit, good down payment, strong borrower, and is waiting for them to go down a little bit more to make the jump. And what I just told them was, your best deal is today, because when these rates do continue to go down, you may get a little bit off of your payment, but you're going to pay more for the house because of the pent-up demand of buyers and the lack of inventory. And so your best long-term solution is to buy now and refi later.
I agree. Get into home ownership, buy and hold, figuring that even if we just move up, again, 2% in values this year on a $300,000 home is $6,000 in appreciation in a year. Your payment's going to be a fraction of that as a difference. If you're waiting for 6 and there's 6 3/4, that payment difference is something like $150 per month for most borrowers. $1,800 a year in difference on payment, but compare that to maybe $6,000 to maybe as much as $9,000 or more in appreciation. I know it's early in the year, but I agree with both of you. I think the competition will stiffen, and it will be harder to buy a home as you get into the spring and summer months, much harder than what it would probably be today.
Well, who needs the Wall Street Giants when we have our own giant in the backyard right here in Oklahoma? Chris Doak, thank you so much for gazing into your crystal ball, and we're so lucky to be able to bring you on the show with us.
Thanks again, as always, for having me.
Stick around. We'll be back in 2 minutes with this week's open house schedule and our listing of the week.
Hey, home buyers, let's talk turkey for a minute. Would you choose a healthy economy or lower interest rates? As of January 5th, the U.S. jobs report says we're in a healthy economy with a larger increase in jobs in the U.S. That leads us to believe the Fed will wait even longer until it begins to reduce its rate. Meantime, the demand for homes always picks up in the spring, with many buyers chasing the same home, and that means more competition for you. With home prices on the rise, doesn't it make sense to get in the market now? A $300,000 home that increases just 2% over the next year will increase $6,000 in value. I'm Wally Kerr, and my team and I offer rock-solid advice about buying a home in a market like this one, where home prices are going up and fewer homes are for sale. Call Kerr Team today at 330-3000 and tell us you're ready to get started with the process. I promise you'll have a great experience working with my team. Call us today at 330-3000.
Best Protect Roofing and Construction has been serving the Oklahoma community since 2017 with trusted professionals and a proven track record. Best Protect Roofing and Construction has the local knowledge to ensure every roofing project is compliant and hassle-free. They offer free roof inspections to assess damage, provide accurate quotes, and recommend the best solution for your home. Call today, 405-473-9599. Best Protect Roofing and Construction.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful, from knowing which program fits your situation the best to identifying the best terms. Hi, I'm Chris Doak with Gateway Mortgage. I work closely with you every step of the way, from pre-qualification to helping you choose the home loan that's right for you. My promise is to provide transparency, timely communication, personal service, and closings on time. Call me today at 405-253-2276. That's 405-253-2276.
NMLS 984758. Gateway Mortgage, a division of Gateway First Bank. NMLS 7233, Equal Housing Lender.
If you or a family member will be selling or buying a home and would like to schedule an appointment with Wally, call 405-330-3000 or go to wallysguarantee.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with Wally Kerr.
Well, Wally, we just gave some great reasons why it might be a good time right now to buy a home, because the rates aren't going to drop like a rock that people would love to see happen. And there's going to be a lot more competition coming this spring and summer. So
that's right. You got to decide on your own. Maybe it's just not the time. Maybe you still feel a little uncomfortable. But again, as we talked about, doesn't look like those rates, as you said, are really going to drop that much, whereas the competition will increase. So, make your own decision, but there are some compelling reasons to get into the market, perhaps sooner than later, Dave.
Well, let's do it sooner. Let's talk about open houses right now and our listing of the week.
Okay, sounds good. Well, we'll be open with 4 different homes all across the metro this weekend. These will all be open on Sunday afternoon. You're listening to our Saturday show now. If you're missing part of it, you can catch the rerun of this show tomorrow at noon, Sundays at noon. We've got open houses in Choctaw and in Oklahoma City and in Edmond and in Moore this weekend. The one we talked about in Moore a little earlier in our show is this 5,000 square foot home. 3605 Joshua Lane in Moore was built in 2014. As Cindy alluded, it's got a lake view, an outdoor fire pit. It's a beautiful 2-story home, again, gated community. It is in Joshua's Landing. This is a 4-bed, 4.5 bath, with 2 studies, Dave, one for the parents and one for the kids.
Okay.
So the kids' study has a built-in desk for 2 students to work at the same time, with dry erase boards and chalkboards and a window outside. Just a great property. It's listed at $975,000. If you want to see just how ugly I am and why I do have a face for radio, join me there Sunday between 2 and 4 p.m. We've got a big one open that's 4,000 feet. This is like a lodge. It is one of the most beautiful custom-built homes I've seen in a long, long time. This home is at 3317 North Coltrane in Edmond. It's got a 4-car attached garage. It's a 4-bed, 3.5 bath. It's got a media room downstairs, soaring ceilings, incredible windows, beautiful view out the back, plenty of room for a pool or a shop. Jennifer Wilcox will be at 3317 North Coltrane, Sunday 2 to 4, $880,000. Check that one out. We will have an open house at 12,200 Southeast 44th Street in Choctaw. That is a modern, beautiful home on just less than 6 acres. About 3,700 feet, 4-bed, 2.5 bath. It's got those firehouse garage doors on the front of it that are all glass. And look like they're
contemporary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's an incredible home, $765,000. And I believe Kelly Duran. This was my listing of the week this week. So that's the Choctaw home at 12,200 Southeast 44th. Check that one out online. Our third open house this week is in South Oklahoma City at 1508 Southwest 163rd Street. That's about a 2-year-old home built by Landmark Fine Homes. Go by and meet Cody Crawford at that property. Absolutely gorgeous on the inside. About 2,000 square feet. Stunning. And that's priced at $389,900. That's down in the Native Plains community, which is in the Westmore School District. Very popular with parents.
Cool.
3 open houses this weekend. Come out. We'd love to see you.
Well, as we wrap up this show, once again, you guys are a wealth of information. Having started out in the business in your teens and now
before we were born,
36 years in multiple states even.
Yes.
You guys are experts across the whole Southwest, I'll say. But just fantastic information once again, experts in the real estate market. If you want to contact Wally or Cindy, you can text them, you can call them. The text is real easy because, Wally, you'll just, if someone just wants to, I don't want to talk with someone, I just want to get some information, they can shoot you a text at 330-3000. And they can even text you the address of their home and what they think about on a scale of 1 to 10.
And they can get a value for it.
Approximate value.
Yeah, I'll give them a range. And yes, I want to say that, Dave, is that I've taken lots of texts from our listeners on Saturdays and Sundays after the show. However you wish to communicate is just great with us. Right. We love doing our show. Of course, we'd love to help you or someone you know in buying or selling, but sure, we want to be a great resource. I'll tell you that having Cindy move here from California and bring her expertise in a really super hot market kind of made me appreciate our Oklahoma market again. Cindy had the big swings, the peaks and the valleys in values.
Yes.
Yeah, I probably for many years thought, wow, I wish my home would go up 17% in 1 year. But they were always correcting back at her market. You had to time your sale. We've been in a very stable, a market that appreciates slowly but diligently over time. And the properties that we've bought together, Cindy, over the last 25, almost 30 years, have appreciated a lot. This has been a great place for you to live and to be.
And you know, the thing I appreciate about it, too, is the affordability. I can't tell you the number of young couples I helped in Southern California where there simply was no house they could afford, even with parents' help. And so it's really rewarding to see first-time buyers here be able to afford a home and then see some appreciation, trade up. That's the American dream, and I really see that in Oklahoma.
Cindy told me and said, Wally, when I sold in California, we can't go back there as a married couple because she said when you get out of the market, you can't afford to get back in. And so at this point, Cindy, watching homes appreciate like they have the last few years, I think there's 4 words: get in the market. Mm-hmm. Get in the market and get into ownership so that you can watch your asset appreciate.
And you can get in the market in Oklahoma. You know, that it's affordable enough that most people can, and that's very rewarding.
My 4 words, I thought you were going to say, call the Kerr team. That's what I was going to say.
That's okay too, Dave.
Hey, I
like
want to remind people that the content from this show and every show that we've done since last January is available. Hold on. Is it January? How long have we been doing this
We
now?
started January 25th or 26th. Dave, we'll have our 1 year anniversary here in about 3 weeks. Dave's going to bring
Donuts.
9 dozen donuts here in about 3 weeks. So tune in for the fun as we gorge ourselves.
We are available on all the podcast platforms and real easy to view at wallytalkshouses.com. You can see over 150 topics that we've discussed. Simply download the show, hop on the treadmill, give us a listen. I know a lot of people have those New Year's resolutions, so if you're on the treadmill, it makes it so much easier when you have some fun, lighthearted content. You can listen to us and listen to the real estate experts.
Love it. WallyTalksHouses.com. Thanks for tuning into our shows. Dave, great to be with you again this week. Look forward to next week with you.
Yes, and
Absolutely.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You've been listening to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with Wally Kerr. Heard every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. and replayed on Sundays at noon here on 1520 a.m. and 95.3 FM KOKC. Wally's name is his promise. Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. To speak with Wally directly about selling your home or buying, call or text him to schedule an appointment at 405-330-3000, 405-330-3000, or go to wallysguarantee.com. That's wallysguarantee.com.